Good day. My name is John Harrington. I'm the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. And I want to thank Interfaith Action and our partners, the churches, the mosques, and the synagogues, who are joining together as we begin a beloved community conversation. As I was thinking about the beloved community, I was thinking about what makes up the beloved community, and one of those pieces is the whole issue of traffic enforcement. Traffic enforcement is getting a lot of conversation these days, and so as I thought about traffic enforcement in the beloved community, I thought back to what was and what is the primary goal of traffic law enforcement. Traffic law enforcement has three primary goals: prevent and reduce the number of traffic accidents, promote sustained compliance with traffic laws through deterrence, and to prevent hazardous traffic situations from occurring. In short, we want to reduce crashes, deaths, and injuries on Minnesota roads by improving driver behavior. Nationally, cars killed 42,000 people in 2020. That's up from 39,000 in 2019, according to the National Safety Council. But according to the FBI, last year there were 21,570 murders, up 29% from 16,669 in 2019. That's the highest annual total since 1995. Now, I want you to know that I recognize the number of victims in both of these categories, whether fatal crashes or murders, is far too high. But the number of crash victims, I want you to think about, is more than double the number of homicide victims. Cars last year killed 23% more Black Americans and 11% more Native Americans than they did in 2019. That's compared to a 4% increase in fatalities for white Americans. You should know that Minnesota wasn't any better than the national average. If anything, we're seeing even greater loss of life. With our preliminary numbers, and these are preliminary, in 2021, we saw 196 homicides. And we saw 497 fatal crashes. I assume that you, like me, have been in a car. That seems like a pretty safe assumption. And that you may have been stopped by the police. I have been stopped by the police on a number of occasions, whether it was as a young kid driving in Chicago, or out on the highways going back and forth to college, or even later on when I became a cop. To help you understand how it's supposed to be done, please watch this instructional video done by the Lionel Lakes Police Chief, John Swenson, and then Captain, now Chief, Kelly McCarthy.
Hello, I am Chief John Swenson with the Lionel Lakes Police Department. Many times we get questions regarding traffic stops and the steps that officers take while performing them. In this video, Captain Kelly McCarthy will walk you through the process officers follow when making a traffic stop.
Hello, I'm Captain Kelly McCarthy, and I oversee the Patrol Division of the Lionel Lakes Police Department. I'm here today to go into a little more detail about the traffic stop procedure. Once an officer has the legal authority to make a traffic stop, several things have to occur before he or she activates their lights. The officer runs the information from your license plate through the state computer. It's a very important safety step, and it allows us to find out as much as we can before stopping that vehicle. Several people have expressed concern or asked, why did it take so long for the officer to pull me over after activating their lights? The state computer system is statewide, and sometimes it takes longer for that information to come back. So that could be part of the delay from when you first notice the officer behind you to when they turn on their lights. In addition to running the license plate information through the state computer, officers must inform our dispatch center that they are making that traffic stop.
162 Henry Tom Paul, 700 block, Town Center Parkway.
Because our dispatch center dispatches officers throughout Anoka County, there's often radio traffic that doesn't allow the officer to get on the air right away. After the officer has run the plate and informed dispatch of the traffic stop, he or she will then activate their emergency lights. While officers are always looking for the safest place to stop the car, it is the driver of the car being pulled over that ultimately decides when and where they stop. After the vehicle has stopped, the officer will approach the driver, introduce themselves, and ask for their driver's license and proof of insurance.
Hello, Officer Klosner with Lionel Lakes Police. Do you have your driver's license?
Yes, sir.
And your proof of insurance too, please.
Oh, okay.
The driver will also be informed of the reason for the stop.
The reason for the stop today is the speed. You're going 47 and a 35.
Oh, sorry.
Any reason for the speed?
You know, I'm late for work.
Okay.
The officer will then take the information back to the squad, verify it all, and either issue a citation or a warning. If the stop occurs at night, the officer will use their lights to limit the driver's vision to the rear. While we understand that this can be annoying, it provides the officer with a tactical advantage that is necessary for the safety of everybody involved.
Hello, I'm Officer Owens. Do you have your driver's license, please?
If you are stopped by an officer, here are some things to remember. Once signaled by an officer to stop, do so at the safest place in the safest manner as possible. This can mean pulling over as far to the right as practical or out of the main traffic lane. Turn your radio off and roll down your window. To people on the interior of a quiet car, it may seem as if the officer is speaking louder than needed. This is not intentional on the officer's part, just a byproduct of the increased noise level on the outside of the vehicle. Keep your hands visible when possible and keep your license and proof of insurance in a location that is easy for you to access. Avoid reaching under seats or into glove compartments unless you have advised the officer that you're going to do so. Some people have expressed fear and concern that the officer pulling them over might not be a real officer and might in fact be a police impersonator. While these situations are very, very rare, we understand that the possibility is frightening. For the most part, LLPD officers will be in uniform and in a marked squad car when conducting traffic enforcement. There are occasions where officers in plain clothes and in unmarked squad cars will make stops. You must stop when signaled to do so, but if you are unsure if the person you are talking to is a real police officer, ask for their police ID. If you are still unsure, advise the officer that you are scared and you want to verify that they are, in fact, a police officer. You may then use your phone to call our dispatch center or 911. Advise them that you've been pulled over and that you want to verify that the person pulling you over is in fact a Lionel Lakes police officer. At the completion of the stop, the officer will provide you their name and badge number if requested to do so. The Lionel Lakes Police Department is committed to non-biased policing and respect for all citizens. Most Lionel Lakes squads are equipped with audio and video recording devices, and your interaction may be recorded. Should you decide that you also want to record the interaction via camera or cell phone, we encourage you to do so.
The Lionel Lakes Police Department is committed to keeping you safe while you are on the road, as well as preventing crime through traffic law enforcement. If you have any questions regarding traffic stops or any other matters pertaining to the police department, please contact us at 651-982-2300. Thank you for watching this video.
We all know that there are personal and societal costs to traffic enforcement. I've heard all too often from community, don't cops have anything better to do? When I see cops today, I don't feel like I'm protected. I'm thinking, oh shoot, are they going to pull me over? Are they going to stop me? Some have even said, I do not feel safe around cops. Race-based traffic stops turn one of the most ordinary and probably quintessentially American activities into an experience fraught with danger and risk for people of color. Because traffic stops can happen anywhere and anytime, millions of African Americans and Latinos alter their driving habits in ways that would never occur to most white Americans. Some completely avoid places like all white suburbs, where they feel police harassment for looking out of place. Perhaps the personal cost exacted by racially biased traffic stops is clearest in the instructions given by minority parents to their children on how to behave if they are stopped by the police. This is regardless of economic background, geographic region. My dad, he was a Cook County deputy sheriff, that's Chicago, not Cook County here in Minnesota, gave me the talk 50 years ago. He knew then, as I know, that just having been in a traffic stop can lead to physical and sometimes even deadly confrontations. Karen, a social worker, once said that when her young son began to drive, she knew what she'd tell him. Police are supposed to be there to protect and serve. But you being black and being male, you've got 2 strikes against you. Keep your hands on the steering wheel and do not run, because they will shoot you in the back. Let them do whatever they want to. I know it's humiliating, but let them do whatever they want to do to make sure you get out of that situation alive. Deal with your emotions later. Your emotions are going to come second or last. Christopher Darden, an African-American prosecutor for the O.J. Simpson case, said that to survive traffic stops, he learned that the rules of the game were don't move, don't turn around, don't give some rookie an excuse to shoot you. The perspective of Mr. Darden, who spent 14 years working closely with police to prosecute accused criminals, is not unique. And for people of color, it continues to be reinforced by far too many real-life experiences. Think of Philandro Castillo. Think more recently of Dante Wright. Please watch the following video that will help explain the talk that black families have been having with their children about police stops.
In many Black and brown families, it is common for parents to have the talk with their sons and daughters very early, at an early age, about what to do if they are ever pulled over by police. It's a conversation that we're having right here, right now this morning, as two separate incidents involving police encounters and traffic stops are now dominating the headlines.
I didn't do anything. Back up. Whoa, hold on. What's going on? Hold on.
All you gotta do is listen.
It's video that may be triggering and disturbing for some people. One showing a Black and Latino Army officer pepper sprayed and arrested in Virginia last year, and another showing the moments a Black man was killed in Minnesota just this week. Both incidents happening during traffic stops in America.
We have to educate, train.
Jackie Carter with the Alliance for Safe Traffic Stops says it's important for people to know their rights if they're pulled over by police.
You have the right to ask why you're being detained or stopped. You have, the right to get the badge number, and you have the right to file a complaint.
Adding to that, if you're stopped while driving, police must have probable cause, meaning a strong, unbiased, and factual reason for believing there was a traffic violation. That's according to the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law. The organization says police may ask for your license, registration, and proof of insurance, and if they see anything illegal, it may create probable cause for them to search your car. Carter says when analyzing the video of this incident in Virginia,
I understand completely how the motorist wanted to go to a well-lit area. I think that was very smart of him. And I also think that, putting his hands up where they could be seen was very smart. But we also have to understand that the law is that if an officer requires you to get out of your vehicle, you must do so.
She says when asked to pull over, it's important to stop when safe and turn off your car engine and keep your hands visible. The Lawyers Committee says do not consent to a search of your car or personal belongings or reach for any items on you or in your car without specific instructions from police.
Yeah, and that's why Jackie Carter created the Don't Reach tool. It's a little pouch that would go either on your driver's side vent or on the visor above your head. It would hold all the documents that police would need during a traffic stop. The idea is to help prevent you from digging in your pocket or going in your glove box to help make police, I guess, feel more comfortable in those situations. But she says that it's also important for training to happen for us as the public to know what to do during a traffic stop and to know our rights, but also for police to take accountability in knowing how they can help de-escalate these situations and also be aware of the bias that we've seen happen over the years during incidents like these.
I hope you enjoyed the video on knowing your rights. What are you required to do during a traffic stop? It's a video I think that really does explain both the feelings and the thought process that Black families have had for a number of years. Widespread driving while Black practices deeply undermine the legitimacy and therefore the effectiveness of the criminal justice system. At the same time that the issue of racial profiling by law enforcement was expanding, the United States Supreme Court ruled on the constitutionality of pretextual traffic stops. Using a minor traffic infraction as an excuse to stop and search a vehicle is the definition of a pretextual stop. And the U.S. Supreme Court in 1996, in a case called Wren versus U.S., codified that it was legal. In practice, we all know, every driver probably violates some provision of the vehicle code at some time during even a short drive. Because state traffic codes identify so many different infractions, the legislature has decided what laws should be on the books for traffic safety. And that goes right down to even vehicle equipment, which is regulated. A small light bulb must illuminate the rear license plate, or tail lights must be visible from a particular distance. Tire tread must be at a particular depth, and all the equipment must be in working order at all times. Pretextual traffic stops fuel the belief that the police are not only unfair and biased, but that they're untruthful as well. Each pretextual traffic stop involves an untruth, and both the officer and the driver recognize this. The alleged traffic infraction is not the real reason why the officer has stopped the driver. This becomes obvious when the officer asks the driver whether he is carrying drugs or guns or whether he seeks consent to search the car. If the stop was really about enforcement of the traffic code, there'd be no need for a search. and stopping a driver for a traffic offense when the real officer's real purpose is drug interdiction or gun interdiction is, frankly, it's a lie. It's a legally sanctioned lie, to be sure, but a lie nonetheless. What happens when law enforcement embraces a tactic that is based on the systematic and fairly transparent deception of an overwhelmingly innocent people? Pretext stops capture some who are guilty. That is absolutely the case. And many say it has an unacceptably high societal cost. The practice undermines public confidence in the law enforcement and erodes the legitimacy of the criminal justice system and makes police work that much more difficult and, frankly, that much more dangerous. That the courts did this decision or made this decision as they saw that motor vehicles were becoming the means to commit crimes, such as fleeing from a robbery or hiding guns and drugs, doesn't change the dynamics of whether or not we feel that it is a legitimate practice. And there are many today who are calling that into question. Today, as we think of the rash of carjackings and drive-by shootings, it's not hard to see why the courts rule that a car, because it is mobile, required different rules. Think of how you would feel if the traffic stop was intended to take a young gang member who has a gun off the street. Does that change your view of whether the stop is legitimate, lawful, and proper? What would you think if the stop was meant to locate a person suspected in beating his wife and her children? What if the stop was to recover a car with a missing pet or to stop a possible drunk driver? Today we find ourselves at a crossroads. We all want to be safe, both from crashes and from crime. We want to feel respected and to trust our peace officers to be fair and humane. Traffic enforcement is one place where these values cross. I want to thank Interfaith and all of the faith communities who've come together as we have this conversation about the beloved community. As we close, I want you to ask yourself how, as a community, we can come together as peacemakers and peacekeepers. Thank you.